5. Customer Master Account Group. Customer Master Account Group is one of the most underestimated but most powerful design elements in SAP SD. It silently controls data discipline, process behavior, partner logic, legal compliance, and risk exposure. In real projects, poorly designed account groups lead to data chaos, users entering N or A in mandatory fields just to bypass errors. Inconsistent records. Some customers have tax codes, others don't. Pricing and billing failures. Missing sales data prevents order creation. Audit issues. One-time customers being used for recurring high-value sales to hide volume. Excessive Z customizations. Developers writing code to validate fields that the account group should have controlled natively. A strong SD consultant treats account groups as business contracts enforced by the system. What is a customer account group, conceptually? An account group is the template or class that dictates the behavior of a specific type of customer. It defines who this customer is: a domestic buyer, a foreign subsidiary, a one-time walk-in. What data is mandatory? Does a ship-to need a VAT number? No. Does a payer? Yes. What roles the customer can play? Can this ship-to also place orders? Usually no. How the customer behaves financially. Which general ledger, reconciliation, account does it hit? It is not just a classification, it is a control framework. S/4HANA note. In modern SAP, S/4HANA, the account group is mapped to a business partner, BP, grouping. This mapping, CVI customer vendor integration, is the bridge between the logistics world, SD, and the central master data world. What account group controls? Very important. Every customer account group configured in T-code OBD2 controls these 7 pillars. 1. Number range. Internal SAP assigns the number. Example: 100,001. Good for standard customers. External. User assigns the number. Example: Walmartus. Good for migrations or EDI integration. 2. Field status. The gatekeeper. Suppress. Hide fields. Example: PO Box, for a purely digital customer. Required, force entry. Example: reconciliation account for payers. Optional, leave open. Display, show but lock, rarely used. 3. Partner determination procedure. Which partner functions are allowed? Linked via configuration. 4. One-time customer flag, activates special transaction level address pop-ups. 5. Text determination. Which text IDs, shipping instructions, notes appear? 6. Output determination. Which print or email documents are relevant? 7. GL account assignment. Often linked to specific reconciliation accounts. Example: foreign versus domestic receivables. This makes account groups a governance mechanism, not just a data bucket. Why projects use Z account groups? SAP standard account groups 0001, sold to, 0002, shipped to, etc. are too generic for real businesses. They often have too many optional fields and loose controls. Hence, companies create customized groups Z001, Z002, Z003. The goal: to strip away non-relevant fields, clean UI. To force specific business rules, strict data. To separate reporting, domestic versus export. Each Z account group enforces strict role-based behavior. Z001. Sold to party. This is the primary customer in SD. Purpose. Represents the legal buyer who places the order, the intent. Negotiates the price, the value. Accepts commercial terms, Incoterms, payment terms. Key characteristics. Sales area data. Absolutely critical. A sold to without a sales area, sales org or dis channel or division cannot place an order. Pricing relevant. The customer pricing procedure field here drives the pricing logic. Credit relevant. Usually linked to a credit limit. Order creation. This is the only account group, usually, allowed in the VA01 sold to field. Controls. Field status, make sales district, customer group, and currency mandatory. Partner functions. Must include AGWE, RERG, Real Project Insight. Greater than most SD logic is triggered by the sold to party. Greater than. Greater than if the sold to master is set up wrong. Example, wrong currency. The order will error out immediately. The sold to is the anchor of the sales process. Z002, shipped to party, represents the delivery recipient, the factory, the warehouse, the store. Purpose, defines, where, the physical delivery address. How, shipping conditions, truck, air, rail. When, unloading points and goods receiving hours. Key characteristics. Not pricing relevant. We don't care about the price for the warehouse, only the address. Not credit relevant. A warehouse doesn't pay bills. Logistics focused. Fields like transportation zone are vital here. Controls. Field status, hide payment terms, and tax code. They are irrelevant and confusing here. Make country, region, and transportation zone mandatory for route determination. Real project insight. Greater than one sold to can have multiple ship to partners. Greater than common mistake. Users lazy create a new sold to Z001 when they just needed a new shipping address. This creates duplicate legal entities in the system, messing up credit exposure. A ship to is an address, not a buyer. Z003 payer represents the entity responsible for payment, the wallet. Purpose. Controls, invoicing list, grouping invoices. Payment terms, net 30, net 60. Credit exposure, the link to FSCM, financial supply chain management. Key characteristics. FI critical. This partner links to the general ledger. Reconciliation account must be mandatory. Banking data, IBAN or SWIFT codes live here. Controls. Field status, make reconciliation account and payment terms mandatory. Hide shipping conditions. Real project insight. Greater than payer is where money risk lives, not sold to. Greater than. Greater than, you can have 50 sold tos, branches, linked to one payer, HQ. If the HQ hits its credit limit, all 50 branches get blocked. Z004, bill to party, represents the invoice recipient, the mailbox. Purpose. Controls, address, where the physical or PDF invoice is sent. Tax determination, VAT, or GST numbers are validated here. Output, email address for the accounts payable department. Key characteristics. Billing relevant, drives the billing date logic. Tax classification, the tax classification indicator on the billing document comes from here, usually. Real project insight, greater than bill to payer in many enterprises. Greater than the bill to is who gets the paper. The payer is who wires the money. Confusing these leads to invoices being rejected by the customer's AP department because they lack the correct attention to details. CPD, one-time customer, internal number ranges, used when the customer is transient or low value. Purpose, cash sales, walk-in customers at a factory outlet. Samples, sending a one-off sample to a prospect who isn't a customer yet. Characteristics, template master. You create one master record, example. Customer 9,999. Transaction data. When you use 9,999 in an order, SAP pops up a window asking for name, address, and city for that specific order only. No history. You cannot easily run a report. Show me all sales to John Doe, because John Doe is just text inside customer 9,999. Real project insight. Greater than CPD is heavily audited misuse, can hide fraud. Greater than auditors hate CPD accounts because it's easy to sell to a restricted party or bribe someone by typing a fake name. Limit access to CPD groups. CPDA. One-time customer, external number ranges, similar to CPD but used for external system integration. Purpose. E-commerce guest checkout. A web shop sends an order for a guest. The web shop generates a unique ID, and SAP uses CPDA to accept it without creating a permanent master record. Legacy migrations. Loading 10 years of history where you don't want to migrate 50,000 dead customers. Z005 employee customer. Used for internal sales. B2E, business to employee. Characteristics. Pricing. Often linked to a special employee pricing procedure, cost plus 10%. Payment. Often linked to payroll deduction payment terms. Tax, employee benefits are taxed differently in some countries. Mistake to avoid. Greater than treating employee customers like normal customers. Greater than. Greater than do not let employees buy on credit terms meant for B2B partners. Use Z005 to enforce immediate payment or payroll deduction. Z006. Plant as a customer, Santo. Used in intercompany or intracompany stock transport orders. Purpose. To move goods from plant A to plant B using SD logistics. Delivery note. Picking. PGI. SAP requires the receiving plant to be defined as a customer, so the delivery system knows where to ship. Characteristics. Minimal data, doesn't need payment terms or credit limits, usually. Mapping, linked to the plant configuration in OMGN, or OLME. Real project insight. Greater than without plant as customer, SD Santo delivery cannot function. Greater than. Greater than this is a mandatory technical setup for logistics integration. Z010 export sold to party. Used for foreign trade scenarios. Additional requirements. Currency. Must default to USD or EUR, foreign. Incoterms. Mandatory. EXW, FOB, CIF. Tax. Must be marked as export. Tax exempt in master data. Customs. May require customs office assignment. Controls. Field status. Make Incoterms and currency mandatory. Pricing. Triggers export pricing procedure. Includes freight. Insurance duties. ZJ11 export ship to party. Handles international logistics. Critical for. Transportation zones. Defines the leg of the shipment, example. Hamburg port to New York port. Customs data. Region codes that determine duty rates. ZJ12 export pair. Handles foreign currency payments. Controls. Currency. Locked to the foreign currency. Bank data. SWIFT or IBAN mandatory for international wires. ZJ13 export bill to party. Handles the commercial invoice for customs. Controls. Language. Often needs to be English or the destination language, not the local system language. Output. Trigger specific pro forma invoice or commercial invoice layouts required by customs agents. Account group design principles. Very important. 1. One role equals one account group. Never mix roles. Bad design, a generic Z000 group, used for sold tos, ship tos, and payers. Why? You can't make tax ID mandatory for a payer, and optional for a ship to if they share the same group. You lose control. Good design, specific groups for specific roles. 2. Mandatory fields enforce discipline. If a field is required for the process. Example. Transportation zone for route determination. Make it mandatory in the account group. Result. The user cannot save the customer without it. Benefit. No more route determination failed errors in sales orders. 3. Number range strategy. Sold to, internal, 10-4x. Ship to, internal, 24x. Bill to or payer, internal, 34x. Visual ID. The number itself tells you the role. 4. Partner determination alignment. The account group must be assigned to the correct partner determination procedure. Z002. Ship to master record should only allow you to maintain ship to data. It should NT ask you for payer details. Common real project issues. 1. Duplicate customers. Users creating Walmart 5 times because they didn't search properly, allowed by loose duplication checks on the account group. 2. Missing partner roles. Creating a sold to but forgetting to assign a bill to because the partner procedure didn't enforce it. 3. Wrong tax, domestic bill to, used for an export order because the account group didn't restrict the region. 4. Credit check failure. The payer was set up in a group that had credit management hidden or optional. 5. Export compliance. Exporting to a sanctioned party because the export control fields were optional and ignored. Mental model you must keep. Think of account groups as customer DNA. Z001 has the DNA of a buyer. Z002 has the DNA of a destination. Z003 has the DNA of a wallet. Once created, behavior is locked. Errors are expensive to fix, requires archiving and recreation. Data correction is painful. Design carefully, enforce strictly. Final perspective. Account groups are not technical objects. They are business governance encoded into SAP. A junior consultant asks, how do I create a customer? A senior consultant asks, what is your strategy for separating domestic and export risk, and how will the account groups enforce that? If this section is strong, half your SD problems disappear before they are born.